yet another episode of Jofo in the Ring. I am the harbinger of truth, Black Dynamite himself, Jeremy Prophet, the one and only. And normally we end the show with a blooper reel, but today, just before going on the air, we kind of had a bit of a blooper reel of our own, as our own Frank Jofo, who's not appearing in today's episode, but is actually doing the executive producing, tripped over a cord, took out our main camera, took himself out in the process, and delayed the entire recording by at least a good 10 minutes. With that said, we'll probably put the footage out there for you to see, and it'll probably get way more hits than most of my episodes. But not to take away from what a great episode we have today, because we have a great guest making his second appearance on the show. And you know when someone comes back for the second time, it's because it's someone that we really appreciate. And this person is someone who has been blazing one hell of a trail in professional wrestling, someone who is, much like myself, not shy to speak his mind, not shy to stand up for what he believes in, to stand up for his people, and to always make sure the fans get what they paid to see when his name is on the marquee. I'm talking about the man behind the STP, the one and only, Shane Taylor. Welcome back, my man.
Yes, sir. You goddamn right. Love it. Love the energy right there. That's exactly what it's all about, man. Exactly what it's all about. You know, giving people what they paid to see and making sure that, you know, none of our fans are lost in this crazy world of wrestling. Nobody's looked over. Everybody feels like they've been seen or heard. That's exactly what it's all about.
Yeah. And definitely you've been one of my favorite people. I've been following your rise, had you here on the show before, and just getting to talk to you on a more personal level. I realize, you know, you and I, we're cut from the same mold, man. And I didn't get the chance to say it too much last time, but what you do is inspiring to guys like me, guys here on the other side of the border, you know, trying to get that same kind of recognition that, you know, if they're not going to give it to you, then, you know, you got to take it. You got to make your voice be heard. You can't just, you know, hang your head and be humble when, you know, quiet mouths don't get fed. So everything that you're all about, I'm right there with you on the same page, 110%.
Oh yeah. I mean, and this is not to say that the way I do things or the way you do things is the way that everybody should. Because there's pros and cons of being outspoken. You know what I mean? Just like with any great personality or great leader, you know, there's consequences that come with being outspoken and telling the truth and having that voice be heard. You know, a lot of people, especially those in power, don't really like that. They like the quiet types. They like the humble types. They like the ones that are just gonna go along and get along. The caveat for that is none of those individuals have ever changed the sport. None of those individuals have ever been great. The only people that are great, the only people that change the sport, the only people that move this thing forward are those outspoken individuals who come in and, you know, change the game. So it pays to be a free thinker. It pays to be someone who stands up for what you believe in. But you just have to be willing to accept the cost of leadership.
Yep, absolutely. And there's a lot of responsibility that goes along with that. And it's not a mantle that everyone is willing to take up. People just seem to like to fall in line, kind of want to be with the average. Even if they are above average or exceptional, they kind of want to fit in more than stand out, because it comes with a lot of scrutiny, a lot of eyes on you, and a lot of critiques. But that's why it's important to have thick skin. I think you're a guy who's had a lot of thick skin throughout his career and has proved a lot of naysayers wrong. And so, you know, I look at it from my perspective, where it's like, I wouldn't want to do things any other way. I'm not a guy who'd be proud going to bed every night knowing that I had to, you know, play the political game. I had to do what the man tells me in order to get ahead. You know, it's got to be doing it the way that I believe in my heart is the right way, and not selling out my own integrity along the way.
And that's you know, that's such a great point, because that's what it's all about. I've always said to myself, I have to go to bed every night and wake up every morning looking myself in the mirror, and I have to see the man that my father raised. If I don't see that man, then we have a problem. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And so I have two daughters. I need to be the kind of man that I want them to look for. You know what I mean? I have to be the kind of father, the kind of husband that I know, you know, that my father was, you know, in all the best ways. And so, yeah, it just doesn't sit right with me to have to change core beliefs or change how I approach life just for a check. I mean, that's not to say you make everything a battle. You know what I mean? Sometimes in this game, there's going to be things you go, maybe not, but this in the long game, this gets me here. I understand that, but it's so critical, man, to not lose yourself in this sport, not lose yourself in this industry, to remain whole as a person. You know what I mean? Because it can change you, man. It can definitely, make cowards out of otherwise, brave men.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, let's talk a bit about the sport here. When we last left off, Ring of Honor was still going fairly strong. Now things have changed, substance in what you said there. But you know how this goes in the business, and you've done a couple episodes with us. You know how the news sites, they love to pick up all the juicy, salacious kind of clickbait stuff. I'm sure there's going to be a headline appearing on a bunch of the sites. Former ROH champion slept through call when released from contract. Something
right, and it's like I've said that before. You know what I mean? I was like, hey, I was waiting. I had it scheduled. I was like, you know what? I want to say my youngest daughter was napping. My other one was in school. So I was like, okay, let me grab a quick nap so I'm refreshed for this and I can be awake and alert. Just happened to sleep through the alarm.
Yeah. And then your phone was just blowing up with people being like, what's going on?
Yeah, bro, I swear, there were so many messages. I was starting to get worried. Hey, what happened? I could have swore someone was I was like, if someone said I died or they're playing a joke, man, they got everybody, because holy shit.
Wow. No, I can only imagine. Wow. So, I mean, one of the things, and I usually like to leave the more poignant questions for later in the interview, that way it gets people to watch the whole thing. But, we really gotta cut to the chase here. What's it been like for you guys since the end of Ring of Honor? Because all I'm seeing online is tons of messages. What's going on with STP? When are we going to see them in one of the major companies? What is this? What is this delay right now? Is this just a wait and see? Is there still some contract stuff that needs to settle on its way? What's going on?
I mean, there's definitely buzz for sure. I know some people have issues with me because of how I represent myself, the subject matter in which I represent. There's a lot of people who are in positions of power who just don't understand what this is. And it was no different than some of the conversations that we had in ROH. You know what I mean? You've got people who aren't educated enough on the things that we're trying to do and understand that when we talk about being for our culture and being proud of who we are, that is not a negative against anybody else. It's not excluding anybody else. If you were to say that you were proud to be Canadian, no one would say that you hate America or you hate, England, or you hate, Portugal or anything else like that. You're just proud to be who you are. And it's no different with us. We've always said we are for everybody, but we aren't for everybody, right? Because we are loud, we are boisterous, we are brash, confident. We're good, and we know we are. We know what our worth is, and for some people, hearing that coming from us is an issue. But when you look at the responses online, when you look at the merch, when you look at all this, there is people of all backgrounds, all ethnicities, all that support STP, and they do so proudly. So that should show you right there, if we're able to make this thing work and get all of this love and all of this buzz essentially by ourselves. What do you think happens when you put us on a major network? You know what I mean? You've owned, this is only going to go up. And right now, I think the delay for some people is what they've heard about me versus them actually knowing me, right? And my question then would be, what's the agenda of those people trying to make sure that we're not there? You see what I'm saying? Because really, they're just protecting a spot, if that's the case, in my opinion, because they see what we're about to do. They see who we are, and they see the organic following that we've built. Again, like I said, damn near by ourselves. That's something that they can't reproduce. So there's a few things on the table. We're gonna discuss all that in due time. But yeah, man, like we're just here. We're grinding, man. Like and for a lot of people, right? Like they don't understand that we can't just show up places. You know what I mean? Like we can't just show up at AEW or Impact or wherever. You're like, oh, you should just show up. Like that's not how it works, man. It's not how it works. Not in real life. You know what I mean? But yeah, and it's funny because people would think that like I'm upset, right? Like, oh, I can't believe. I'm like, no, man. Look, you had 100 wrestlers released at the same time who nobody thought they were gonna have. So there became this mad like sort of free agency and scramble or draft, however you want to call it. And I believe STP is first round draft picks, right? Every single one of us. And now we're in the fourth or fifth round, and it's like, okay, someone's going to sign us. We're going to be on a team, and then we are going to make sure every other team that had the opportunity regrets the fact. You know what I mean? That they didn't get us when they did. No different than Tom Brady or anyone else. You think, knowing what they know now, every NFL team when it was 1996 or whenever the hell he was drafted is going like, yeah, we should probably draft that Brady guy. You know what I'm saying? So that's the mentality that we have now, and it's not so much to prove the doubters wrong. It's to prove the supporters right. That they have been supporting us this whole time for a reason, and we're going to give them every possible reason to be like, I told you so. Yeah. And we want them to be the loudest voices in the room when that success comes.
Absolutely. And it's important when it comes to supporters. Your true supporters are the ones who will be there for you, not when you're on top, not when things are glamorous, the ones who stick with you through thick and thin, through the good times and the bad. And that's
rare, man. That's rare. There's so many people in this sport, so many people in this industry that cling to you when things are going well. And when they're not, they disappear really fast. Yeah. You know what I mean? I've had a couple people, like that in my life. And it was just like, oh, okay. And then you adjust, right? You adjust and go, bet this is going to, and by no means are we not successful. We're all still making cash. We're just doing it on the independents, and it's just like, okay, this is gonna turn around, and I'm gonna be back where I need to be, where they need to be, but there's no coming back from this for you. Like, you know what I mean? Once I see that's who you are, that's the side you stay on with me forever. Yep. Like there's no switching up. Like once I see that disloyalty, once I see that you're not who you said you were or who you pretend to be, oh, we're done. Yep. You know what I mean? I can be cordial and shake your hand and be professional, all that, but you being close to me, never again. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's just a waiting game at this point, and I know it's not something that our fans want to hear, but this is the process. This is how it goes. Our job is just to make sure that when we get that call, we absolutely knock it out of the park, and that's what we're going to do.
Mm-hmm. And I appreciate you saying we, because you could just as easily be saying just you, but mm-hmm. you're there for the unit, for the group, for mm-hmm. You guys are like a family, and so. Mm-hmm. I think that's good to see that you're not just in business for yourself. And it is really unfortunate in wrestling how sometimes these issues, politics, heat, misunderstanding, that gets in the way of good business. I think that should never get mm-hmm. in the way of good business. We've seen so many people, and why would they close a door on you when they be opening that door for guys who, have shady pasts, guys who, have records, have sexual misconduct, all these kinds of things. And, these are guys that are being given, probationary chances and these kinds of things. Yet, a guy like you who's just doing good, clean business, representing his culture, nothing that a little sit-down conversation, get to know the person on a human level couldn't squash. Mm-hmm. I don't know why this has got to drag on. It's one of those things that wrestling's like one of those things that it's hard to understand because there's no consistency to any of this. But
wrestling is its own worst enemy at times. You know what I mean? And that's just what it is. But again, you know what I mean? Like this is, I'm willing to sit down and have conversations with anybody who has any misunderstandings about me. Whether or not they leave there with a better understanding is up to them, and if they really want to do that or not.
Yeah.
But not a hard person to get a hold of, not a hard person to get in contact with. And if anybody really wants to do that, right here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I look at Ring of Honor now with the relaunch. I guess we can call it a relaunch. And to me, you guys not being there is a big omission. How did, you know, what's been going on behind the scenes? I know there's stuff you probably can and can't say or should and shouldn't say, but I mean, why have Ring of Honor continue without STP? It's just weird to me.
I mean, again, we go back to the politics of things. Like I know when I started STP and we started everything from the beginning. I got everything cleared from the best way that I knew how to do it. We did it the way we went about doing it. Some folks were upset, but you know, like I said, like we had to get the eyes, we had to do what we had to do, and we made it work. You know what I mean? I've got messages from people who were like, "Hey, we didn't like this when it started. We didn't think this was good for the company. We didn't like this. We didn't want to promote this. We didn't want to do anything, but y'all made it work. So, you know, good job." Which my response was like, yeah, I wasn't gonna, you know, not let it work. You know what I'm saying? You don't go that far out on a limb and, you know, not do what you got to do. But honestly, man, like it's a group like ours was never supposed to be a thing. There have been people who were trying to make it happen and were told flat out, no, this is not what we want. This is not where we're going to go. And so we were an anomaly because we shouldn't have been a thing by any stretch. And yet we were, and we made it work, and it was popular. And we, you know, were the most talked about thing, not only just when it came to 6-man stuff, but as the company as a whole. Even though, you know, other people were supposed to be promoted before, promoted more names on marquees, all of that, and yet and still everybody's talking about this group that, you know, that shouldn't even exist, right? So I think the fact that I am as steadfast in my beliefs and my vision for how I want things to go was a problem for some. And, you know, everybody talks and people play these games, and I'm sure that it's one of those things where it's like, well, we didn't like this guy, and they're like, oh, okay, well, we don't like this guy either. You know, it's like, well, okay. But again, if you sit down and have a conversation with somebody and understand what the motives were, the intentions were, you know, and what we were trying to do, then I feel like people come out with a better respect and understanding as opposed to dealing with emotion.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, because I'm a firm believer. It's one of my firm core beliefs to never judge any story based on just one side. That there's two sides to every story, and you can't jump to any kind of a conclusion just based on one. Do you feel like maybe you guys are finding yourselves in a situation like that, where there are some people that have the ears of certain don't knock the camera down again.
Right.
Okay, yeah. So
leave the camera alone.
Oh, he this time he stepped over that cord like a child taking its first steps out of a womb. So which brings me to the next thing I wanted to talk about, if you're open to talking about it, is a hot topic over the last couple of weeks had been Jonathan Gresham and what happened with him with the Ring of Honor World Title and everything with the Ring of Honor event and certain things that went on behind the scenes, certain things that he was in disagreement about. Do you have any insight or any opinions as to what happened and how that made you feel?
I can understand the frustration on that side of it. Jonathan Gresham is undoubtedly one of the absolute best wrestlers in the world. I think personally, for me, when you talk African-American wrestlers especially, he's the second greatest African American wrestler of all time outside of Jay Lethal, right? And again, before people go nuts, I'm not talking about most popular. I'm not talking about most accomplished. I'm talking about the actual skill set of wrestling. I think that it goes to Lethal and Gresham 1 and 2. You never want to see anybody in a position where there's any sort of miscommunication from whoever's side on that level, right? So regardless of whatever, I wish him nothing but the best for him, his wife, their families. I feel like this is probably something that will get worked out at some point, because I do believe he's still under contract. I didn't see anything about him actually getting the release. So I'm hopeful and I'm optimistic that things will work out and everybody will kind of let cooler heads prevail and get back to doing what they do.
Now we're all kind of on the outside looking in. You're maybe a little closer to the situation because you know him personally and have worked with him in the past. But do you feel there's maybe anything that could have been done differently or handled differently on either end?
I'm sure there are lists of things that could have been handled differently on both sides. I mean, you don't get to a point like that without having different options. You know what I mean? But we can't. I'm in no spot to talk about who should have done what or who should have done this or who, what I mean? So this is the situation. This is what we have to deal with now. This is where it is. And the goal, I'm sure, is to get back to a point where both sides can communicate, can express how they feel about the situation, and then move forward in a logical business decision.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And another person that you know really well, we talked about him last time when you came on, is your former tag team partner, Keith Lee.
Yes, sir.
He is now currently one half of the AEW World Tag Team Champions, Swerve
in
Our Glory, along with Swerve Strickland. And he's doing real well. And definitely a far cry from where he was when we talked last time when he was in WWE but not being used on TV to now having championship status. Have you spoken to Keith recently? Have you guys talked?
We talk all the time. Yeah, it's always funny. It's always funny to me, like when you get on interviews and stuff, and not you, right? But people act like if you're no longer in the same company or you do other stuff, that somehow like you're just no longer friends or you no longer speak. Like this is just our jobs, man. This is just our jobs. That's still my guy, still my boy. Big, he's like a big brother to me. He'll call me all the time and be like, hey, you ruffling feathers, or what I'm saying, or you getting too real, and I'll be like, all right. You know what I mean? But he's the man. It's incredible to see the success that him and Swerve have had, the chemistry between the two of them. I know that they did some tag team stuff overseas years ago, and I always wondered what that would look like. So to get to see that play out on national TV and with the talent they have around them, with the ability, that both of them have with their connections and their skill to bring something cool to TV is really dope to see. So I'm excited to see what comes next. There's a lot of talent in that tag team division. There's a lot of talent everywhere, so they're going to be able to be in the ring with some great people and make some magic. So I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, looking at you and Keith, I love the fact that you guys are so close. You guys were a team, but you have such different styles, the two of you, both in terms of in ring and even in speaking. Like you guys are almost like a yin and yang. And
absolutely,
I think that's cool that two people as different as you guys are, can still be the best of friends in this business and find your success. Since no two paths are the same.
Oh, for sure, and that's what made the tag team work so well, and that's why we got so much enjoyment out of it. Is because it's just like you said, it's such a yin and yang effect. We have such different personalities, but the lines on which we meet, we're the exact same person, right? So that is what binds us. And then you have him who is strong, powerful, agile, can jump out of the gym Me, strong, powerful, agile, but instead of jumping on you, I would much rather just punch you in the face. And that's the style that we brought. You know what I mean? And that's it's so fun to look back and think about those matches and those moments because and the chemistry that you saw and what makes it seem so fun is because we're just having fun out there. No different than the way you see me and the guys with STP. That's why, you know, I surround myself with people who are like-minded, who have that synergy, who have that same vibe about them, because then we can just go out there and we don't have to force a chemistry. There's just one that's naturally there. And when it's real and it's organic, you can feel it.
Definitely. I think that's what makes the best teams is when there is that chemistry as much, you know, outside the ring as in it. Another one of your boys who we had here recently on the show, Kaun.
Yes, sir.
He's also part of a new faction now, the Gates of Agony, and or are they now the Embassy? Possibly one or the other, but I think him and Toa Leona, it's the Gates of Agony. He was on here. He graced us with his presence. It was a fantastic interview. For those of you who want to check that out, you can go down the Jofo archive on whatever platform you listen to us on and check it out. It's an outstanding interview. A lot of great insight. So he managed to, you know, break through that glass ceiling and is now, you know, part of AEW. You know, so even though he's in the Ring of Honor portion of it, he's part of AEW.
Right.
So he was able to do that. I want to know what the reaction was on your end when you saw that, okay, now he's getting some opportunities on Dark or on Elevation, and sure enough, you know, he's now All Elite. What are your thoughts on that?
I was excited as hell. I mean, he looks like action figure. You know, he's got every tool, getting better promo wise every single day. Getting not that it was a weakness, you know, it's just something that you can tell he's put the work into making a strength and really bringing that side out of him because he tends to be a more quiet guy. But bringing that personality out was something that we talked about all the time. I was like, bro, you should have this quiet air of confidence, damn near arrogance about you everywhere you go. Because look at you. You know what I'm saying? Why would you not? I was like, if I look like you, dog, I'd be a fucking problem. You know what I'm saying? Like, you would never, I fully, and this is, you know, to whoever believes what, I was like, there's sometimes you are put in a position, you know, where you don't get everything you want because then you wouldn't be the person that you need to be. Right. Yeah. And so for me, I'm like, bro, you give me an 8-pack, I'm a problem. I'm doing, you know what I mean? Like I'm a menace out here, bro. Like I already know myself. You know what I mean?
I see your posts on social media. You're well on your way there. You've been putting in the work in the gym.
You know what I mean? Like I'm here like, bro, you give I'd be doing the wildest shit, bro. I would have R&B entrance music everywhere, bottle of baby oil at all times. You know what I mean? Like I'd be doing the most shit. You know what I mean? But it was absolutely incredible to see him get that shot, watching his matches, watching him, you know, do the small things to get remembered. We would talk about, you know, promo ideas and all that stuff. And when he brought it to me about what, you know, about what was going on, there was nothing but praise, nothing but, you know, congratulations. You know, he deserves every bit of it. He works his ass off. He busts his ass. And you like to see good people get good things in wrestling because so many assholes get good things. You love to see good people get good things. You know what I mean? And so from me, Ron, O'Shea, Moses, everybody was like, hey, yo, that's dope. Go crush it. Go kill it. You know what I mean? Go represent the way that we know you will. And I have no doubts that he's going to do that. You know, he's in a good spot. Nana is an invaluable resource. You know, he's seen it all, done it all. So he's going to be able to get to learn from him. And I'm anxious to see what happens going forward. Who knows? Maybe there comes a day where he's standing across the ring from us as opposed to on the same side. Then we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Yeah. I mean, I think that would make a hell of a story, you know, that he's kind of the prodigal son that, you know, went on to something else, but now the rest of the brothers are back. I think that story sells itself, if you ask me.
Oh, for sure, for sure. And I mean, what a story that it would be to tell, and depending on which perspective, does that make him the person who just wanted more for himself, or does that make him the person that left the others behind, but then they caught up? You know what I mean? Like it's like you see that a lot in movies, right? Mm-hmm. Like you've got the guy who went on to become a stockbroker or whatever, and then the guys from the hood came up and they're like, oh, we in the same neighborhood, but we ain't doing the same shit. You know what I'm saying? It'd be an incredible story. It'd be one that I'm sure we would have a lot of fun telling, and really get into some cool stuff, because more so than just telling stories about the matches, I like to tell stories about life and teach lessons and things like that. Like, for example, with the Kenny King story, right? For people just watching it, it looks like two black dudes fighting, which is not new, right? But from the perspective of the story that we are trying to tell, you've got Kenny King, who has seen every world champion in Ring of Honor come and go. He knows what it takes to be at the top. He knows that there's only, now two people in the history of the entire company that look like us that have ever held that championship, right? He sees that potential in me. That's what he sees. And for those who know me well, those who know me who know me most, they know that getting me pissed off is going to bring the most out of me. That's just how it works. I don't know why. If I had a button to control it, I'd be Superman. You know what I mean? But pissing me off is going to make me reach that level that I need to get to. And I think when he saw me start STP and do the 6-man stuff and all that, he was like, hey, yo, all this is well and good, and this is dope that you're doing all this, but the world championship is not a group title. The world championship is an individual title, and I need you to be the individual to go get it, right? So I think from Kenny's perspective, from his character perspective, he saw me sort of maybe settling or taking a step back, and he needed me to go forward. So the only thing he could do was go, okay, if you're not going to be pissed, I'm going to give you a reason to get to that level. I'm going to give you a reason to get hyped and get to the level that I need you to get to, so you can go take what you should have. And that's the world championship. And I think in the match with Roos, he saw that I was ready physically, but not ready mentally. Right. And so looking back on it now, that him hitting me with that chair saves the opportunity for me to go after the world championship again, when I am ready, and which is a really important detail, because the only reason I got the world championship shot in the first place was because of that fan poll, that choose your honor thing that they had, regardless of the victories over Jay Briscoe, Jay Lethal, all that stuff. A world title shot was not coming. So if this was the one opportunity that I had, he just saved it for me, right? And he's willing to go out there and be that person that walks through hell to get me to heaven. You know what I mean? So when you break it down like that, that's the story that we're telling, and really speaks to us as a community, as a people, to go, hey, we can push our brothers and sisters to be better, to want more. It's not about, cutting each other down at the knees. It's about doing what it takes to lift each other up, because we see the potential in one another, and we know what we can do, as a collective, right? So that's really, I try to go beyond telling stories just about wrestling, and really tell stories about life in general.
And I think it's one thing that you and I both have in common is I'm a firm believer that wrestling has strayed very far from reality. And it happens in a lot of different industries. It happened in music. It happened in hip hop, where, everything was getting jiggy with it, and fancy cars, and where people forgot about what life on the streets was really like, that what these people are living and are trying to get out of. And, you don't have the choice. I feel that your brand, much like my brand, is that same form of reality, or like what reality rap was in wrestling, in hip hop. And I think that, it's good that you can tell something that's real and true and authentic and teaches the person watching a lesson more than just, hey, this guy just won a championship, let's be glad for him. Or, these guys went in and did a bunch of cool moves. And, now on to the next segment on the show. I think when you can establish something like that, it's remembered, it's long-lasting, and it might even go a long way to helping change people's lives. Because, you're giving them something that, they probably wouldn't have thought of if it wasn't presented to them in that context. Also, if I'm not mistaken, I feel like Caprice Coleman kind of played a bit of a role in that storyline. I remember seeing this promo that he did with you that was outstanding, where, you're talking about the Psalms and the scriptures, and I don't remember all the dialogue, but it was really, it was just so real and so authentic. And I had never seen Caprice kind of in that tone and that intense in the promo. I thought it was a great piece of work, that promo. Definitely.
Thank you. And I mean, and that's and again, I am a super detail-oriented person, right? So when we're telling this story, I wanted to use as many people as possible in it. And Caprice is someone who was with me and Kenny when we were in the rebellion. So he's seen me essentially grow up in ROH. So he knows where I've been, where I'm trying to go. He's seen the evolution of me being, chosen to be a part of a group, and I have to learn to follow first. And then now learning how to lead, you know what I mean? Yeah. And when I carry myself to a certain way, and I talk about being a leader, I'm also coming from a place to where I've had, I have a past, you know what I mean? And now I'm trying to live in this future and not go back to that mindset, not go back to doing the things that I used to do, because I've come so much further in life. And Caprice, again, as an older brother figure, just like Kenny is going, hey, man, like, you've built up too much to let him or let this bring you back there, right? You've got people who look up to you. You've got people who worship. You've got, and like you said, I was like, I don't care about that. I don't care about them worshiping me. I don't care. And at that point, I didn't. All I wanted was revenge, and he said something, vengeance belongs to the Lord. And I was like, well, he can have it back when I'm done. You know what I mean? Because this is all that's on my mind, and for Caprice to, again, to interject himself to go, hey, so you've got Kenny trying to pull me one way, right? Which is also a way that's, in Kenny's mind is positive. And you've got Caprice trying to pull me another way, which is in Caprice's mind is positive, right? So you've got this almost angel devil battle, you know what I mean? But neither side is really wrong about where they're trying to take me. It's all in how I respond to it, right? And so then, yeah, that brought Caprice in, and we have the match and we go absolutely apeshit. The only flaw in that match is that damn kid who was supposed to hold the ladder and pushed it instead. And thank goodness I didn't see him after that show, because he would not have nice things to say about me today. But and that was also the reason we had people come out at the end, Berger and Eli and Ron and everyone, and just throw up that fist of solidarity to, because if this was the final time that they saw us in an ROH ring, we wanted to thank everybody who supported us, everybody who, bought merch, everybody who spent their hard-earned money to come see us, at any point in time ever. If you even watched the show, we wanted to say thank you, and sort of present you with this story that we told, the end of this chapter. And so that's what that was all about too, and then just paying homage to us and our culture, that you could have all of us on that stage and perform at a level that, in my opinion, sold the show, other than maybe, the Briscoes and OGK, because they absolutely crushed it. But yeah, that was the goal, was to make that the thing that everybody was talking about, and those are the reasons why.
Mm-hmm. No, and you did a fantastic job of it, no doubt. Definitely pulled me in as a viewer, and you guys delivered a hell of a match and a hell of a story. On a much lighter note, we talked before about heat and politics and those kinds of things. And it got me thinking, the last time you came on here, I'm wondering, does any of that stem from the fact that you said last time when you came on here that you wanted to fight Jon Moxley, you wanted to fight Kenny Omega, the top guys at the time. It made a lot of headlines, and I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't think it's a bad thing at all, because those would be money matches. Do you still feel that way? Do you still want those matches with those guys?
Yeah. I call myself the baddest of all time, not because I'm the biggest, the strongest, the fastest. It's because my will is stronger than others. I'm willing to do the things and fight the people and go more rounds with whoever I have to. There's that dog is in me. You know what I mean? I don't care if you win 99 straight times. I'm going to get up every single time. And that 100th time, I'm going to beat your ass. And after that, you will want to stop fighting me before I stop wanting to fight you. You see what I'm saying? That, to me, is what being the baddest is, and willing to go and fight the absolute very best. So of course, you want the matches with Omega, you want the matches with Moxley, with the Okadas, you know what I mean, with the Ospreys, you know what I mean, with all of these people, and why are you in this if you don't want to test yourself against the best? Yeah. So if anybody's upset that I said that these are the matches that I want, and these are the opponents that I want to have, why would you be upset with someone wanting to go out there and test themselves against some of the very best and prove that they can be on that level, if not surpass them? It doesn't make any sense. That's what you should want from a competitor.
Yeah. And I've always found that strange about wrestling, in the sense of, you have to be seen in the same ring as someone that people think is on that level for them to appraise you as being on it. For me, I can know in my heart how good I am. Just because somebody's been gifted a red carpet and a silver spoon and a lot of time on TV doesn't mean that they're better than me. It just means that they have more visibility, but it doesn't mean that they're better. I think you and I share this in common and share that same view. It's just funny that the fan perspective oftentimes is, until he goes in there and faces this guy, and Meltzer gives it 4.5 stars. He's not on that level. It's funny business that we're in.
I mean, it's one of those things, and we're in a very much "what have you done for me lately" society, right? A lot of people don't realize that some of the best basketball players to ever exist never made it to the NBA, right? You know what I mean? So you're like, Michael Jordan is the greatest of all time, and it's like, is he though? You know what I mean? And this is no hate. It's just like, hey, I'm sure in the history of the planet, there was somebody better at basketball that, for whatever reason, their life didn't work. That things didn't line up the way that they did, right? So there's plenty of talent out there, and what's important now, and what's cool about today's era is, because you got access to social media and so many different platforms now, those people can build themselves up and sort of create this buzz for themselves, and hopefully that gets wheels turning and they get to do some cool stuff. Kind of like someone who comes to mind is someone like Ninja Mack, right? Known him for years, and now he's doing the GCW stuff. He's over there in Noah, you know what I mean, and just created his own buzz, doing his own thing. Was never really featured on a TV product that I can remember, other than Reality of Wrestling down there with Booker, which is dope, you know what I mean? But yeah, he essentially built his own thing, and now he's in Japan, he's signed there. So that's it. It can happen for anybody, and again, you want that level of competition, you want that passion, and what's more interesting to me is thinking about who is and who isn't allowed to portray certain characters in the sport. That's what's really interesting to me, because you can have someone who is a no nonsense, middle finger to the man, Rage Against the Machine individual, and as long as they look a certain way, it's acceptable. You change how they look, now all of a sudden it's divisive. You know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
it's a problem.
That's a
And it's
hell of
like,
a
no,
take.
you know what I'm saying? The same spirit, the same attitude should be had all around. You know, the hue of someone's skin shouldn't change the spirit of that person. You know what I mean? And what they're trying to accomplish. But that, you know, that's just one of the fights that we have, and it, you know, just got to keep going, keep grinding.
Yeah, and we're fighting that fight here on two fronts. And you know, you talk about Ninja Mack and whatnot, and that's it's a pretty cool story. Pretty soon you can be adding Jeremy Prophet to that list too, because
Yes, sir.
I got a lot of big things on the way that I'm fighting for, and I'm using this social media, but I'm using my in-ring skills, and I'm using my big mouth and verbiage to also make sure that we put things in motion, to make sure that I'm where I want to be, and, you know, giving us a good representation as well.
Absolutely.
And yeah, I oftentimes wish that wrestling were more like the fight game, where, you know, you can just, you know, set up the fights and sell the fights, and, you know, people are just willing to do business because the best man wins.
Man, I've said for years, I'm like, I wish it's weird, and I know a lot of people are gonna be like, oh, come on, but I'm like, MMA over the last few years, and even boxing now, and again, hate them if you want, but you look at Logan and Jake Paul,
Yep.
a lot of boxing and a lot of MMA has somehow done us better than us, right? And it's like, this should be presented more like combat, like the way, like what we do, and like, yes, it's entertainment and all that, and I get that aspect, you know, and that's a huge aspect, but you can be entertaining and put on, you know, an incredible match, and also, you know, present this sometimes as more than just, hey, here's two good guys wrestling.
Yep.
You know what I mean? There's more to it, but it allows guys like myself to take that approach and then be different, right? Because it's not something that a lot of people are doing. So okay, I get to take that, and from entrance to ring announcing to, you know, how I do everything, you know, that's the style that I take.
Yeah.
And I want every match that I'm in, especially championship matches, I want every match that I'm in to feel like the main event. I don't care where it's at on the card, especially, you know, and I started doing that with the TV title run. You know, I wanted to make every match, every opponent feel like, hey, they're getting their chance at the world champion. You know what I mean? If you were a boxer in the 90s, how would it feel going into the ring with Tyson? You know what I mean? That's what I wanted it to feel like.
Yeah.
And so that's the approach that I take now is, okay, you're walking into the ring with the man. You know what I mean? So let's go and let's go and put on a show that's worthy of that.
Yep. And when it comes to that combat sports approach, you know, I also believe in that very much. And you have a good inspiration there in your family member, Belal Muhammad, who's been just climbing the ranks like crazy there at welterweight.
Man, that's the cousin right there. That man is cool. My stepbrother, his cousin, his mom married my dad, so it's all this big hodgepodge of a family. But you know what though? It's so dope because you get so many characters and so many perspectives and so many walks of life, and you get this giant melting pot of people.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, to see the success that he's had, to be able to climb the ranks at welterweight, get poked in the eye by that son of a bitch, you know what I mean? Still waiting for that rematch, you know what I'm saying? So he can even that score up. But yeah, man, seeing his climb has been great. Seeing all the positive praise for him from guys like Michael Bisping or Chael Sonnen, you know what I mean? Just praise him and his fight style, just willing to fight whoever, you know what I mean? He's got to get that shot next, man. I know there's a lot of politics in the fight game as well. You know, guys who the company wants to be champion, who they feel would be the most marketable as champions, so they deny guys this, you know what I'm saying, to make sure these guys stay here. Like I'm sure all of that goes on, but as long as he keeps working, man, you can't. He keeps working and he keeps winning. Like, you can't deny him forever, man. You can't. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? That's the thing. And when he's fighting for that title, man, I'm gonna be there. I don't care how I got to do it, but I'm gonna be there.
Well, it makes a lot of sense. I know he's got a fight coming up, I believe, with Sean Brady, which should be a winnable fight for him. I think he's way more well-rounded than Brady is. I think that like you said, his willingness to fight. He was willing to take that fight with Khamzat Chimaev, a guy that nobody was in a hurry to fight. Same thing with Leon. Tons of guys didn't want to fight Leon, and he was willing to take that fight. He's the only one that stepped up on short notice too, if I'm not mistaken. And, that's got to be rewarded. And it's amazing how he's been counted out in a lot of fights, like with Stephen Thompson and with Vicente Luque. And he has used his skills to win. He's used his wrestling. He's used his striking. He's used his grappling. And it's been fun to watch. It's been fun to watch people get proven wrong and saying that he's going to lose and, he's the underdog. And then all of a sudden he's got his hand raised in victory.
Love it, bro. That's the family mentality. Keep doubting us. We're going to keep making you look stupid out here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I watched those fights, man. I was never more nervous outside of, like, my own fights. You know what I mean? Like just to, for somebody else. I was like, I'm sitting there like I'm in there with, like, oh, God, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm in there, and just, man, like, seeing him just employ such a smart game plan, such a tactical game plan. And just render all of his opponent's strengths, and just kind of nullify them was absolutely dope. You know what I mean? For him to go out and do what he did in both those fights is absolutely incredible. The takedown defense, the pressure, the wrestling, the ability to strike and to even be able to take a hit to give 2 or 3, you know what I mean? And just that toughness, man. It's incredibly dope to see. Nothing but respect for him, nothing but love for him and his family, nothing but continued success for the Cuzzo. And I'm a fan. I'm a huge fan, so I can't wait to keep seeing him do his thing. Yeah,
I definitely think that he matches up well with anyone that's in the top 4. I think, and those are all, to me, those are all dream fights. Seeing him and Kamaru Usman, seeing him in the rematch with Leon. The rematch with Leon, I think it's got to happen one way or another. It's just unfinished business, and it's got to happen. Seeing him and Colby Covington, I think even just for the back and forth between the two of them, the trash talk.
Bro, the fight with him and Colby Covington, if done correctly on the build-up, could be one of the biggest selling fights ever. Yeah. Because if you just already think about where it could go and the emotion involved, the people involved, and it's man, could be tough. That could be a huge fight. I would love to see maybe him and Masvidal too. Yeah, I feel like that would be dope.
Yeah, before Masvidal hangs it up.
Oh yeah, for sure. You know what I mean? Like, hey, go out there and you know what I'm saying? Street Jesus against the bully. Let's go, man. Let's make it happen. You know what I mean? But I definitely want him to get that title shot first because he deserves that. And him and Usman would be.
Yeah. He's in a
banger, bro.
Yeah, man. He's in a great position right now, and I'm always rooting for him. Not just because of you, but I appreciate his hard work. He grinds it out in there. He's a hard worker. And he's well-rounded. I've always been a fan of the well-rounded fighters. The specialists, I don't like that so much. When you're just a striker or you're just a wrestler, I like the guys that are well-rounded. They use the full toolbox, the full skill set.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Every tool at your disposal. That's exactly how it should be.
Yeah. Well, I'm definitely rooting for him, and I hope we'll see him wearing that gold one day.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So with that, we touched on a lot of things. The last thing I'd probably want to touch on is AEW coming out with these trios tag titles. Something that a thing or two about. Trios Gold. I think that, there's a pretty big omission in there. A spot that could easily be filled. Maybe once all the dust is settled and they crown their first trios tag champs, the door might be open for Ring of Honor's greatest trios tag champs of all time to come in there and test their mettle.
Listen, man, I saw when they announced the tournament and, social media they do what they do. And it was STP, y'all going to be in the tournament. We were like, all right, you know what I'm saying? Like, we'll wait and see, And, I remember during our run, the Young Bucks put in their bio, bring us those trios titles. I remember that. And I told them then, I've said it on multiple things. If anytime the Bucks want to get in the ring with STP, we're not hard men to get a hold of. You know what I mean? I believe that the trios titles were forgotten about for a while in ROH. And I believe that myself, Khan, Moses, O'Shea, Ron, we were able to bring a level of prestige back to those, make those matches fun, make them entertaining, make them must see. I actually had a goal of going to different countries and collecting a bunch of trios, like whether we went to Mexico or Japan, and, the never open titles there, and just going around collecting 6-man gold and going, okay, we're the best trio in the entire world, and then, a situation like this would be dope, but we will see who the winner of the tournament is. Good luck to everybody involved. Obviously, we're going to be biased and the best trio on the planet is not in that tournament. So everybody's kind of fighting to be second place. But I hope that they go out there and put on an incredible show. And we'll see what happens. And if anybody wants it with the crew, they want it with at the baddest. Again, we are not hard to find.
Yeah, amen to that. And so with that, we're pretty much wrapping up here. But as we always like to do at the end, let the fans who've been watching this interview, let them know where they can find you on social media, where they can contact you. The floor is yours.
At Shane216 Taylor, that is Twitter and Instagram. All the links to the merchandise and all that, if you're in the merch buying mood, is in the bios. I just want to say again, thank you guys. I've been doing this for 15 years now. It's absolutely crazy to think about that. I appreciate all the support, all the love that we get absolutely every single day. They hear you, we hear you, and it's really just a matter of time before myself and the rest of STP are somewhere doing what we should be doing, and that is beating people's asses for your entertainment.
Outstanding. And I do hope I hope our paths cross, whether it be in a ring, across from each other, side by side with each other. I do hope we get to meet up. Like I said, I got big things cooking right now. Going to keep on, representing our culture, sir. That, I'm just as proud of as you are. And from me personally, I got to say, what the work that you do, it's inspirational. It's good to know that there are kindred spirits out there, fighting for themselves and for their culture, and doing it with integrity, doing it their way, not compromising at the behest of the powers that be. And so I wish you the best in your crusade. And if ever you want to come on here again, you're always welcome. And with that said, my man, can't thank you enough for being here. Can't thank you, the viewers, enough for welcoming us into your homes or on whatever media platforms you watch us on. And as always, remember that wrestling is life.
So, Jofo, I'm a gargle a shot for Kurt Hennig and everybody before we go.
Oh, no.
Jofo, thank you guys.